for coming. I'm going to start. I see people entering. No problem. There's plenty of space right now. So this is a session I think is interesting. I thought it was interesting a long time ago because every single time I can talk to other teams, I always find that the problem is about how we are communicating each other and how the people are using, in that particular case, Slack. And that's the reason why I proposed this kind of session about how we can improve our way of work with Slack. I start with an analogy normally, and this picture that you can see here is a typical castells that we do in our country, in Barcelona, in particular in Catalonia. And it's an analogy I normally use for building software. It's kind of an effort where you can see here two teams collaborating with the different colors that are actually with the same purpose, building a castle that does not fall down, and basically with a bit of strength, direction, and leadership to arrive to build the castle, and then deconstruct the castle as well without falling down. It's more or less what we do with software and with our colleagues, right? Building things and then accomplish and follow to an objective. And related to software, probably many of you are aware, building software is not an easy task. There are many small subsets, small subtasks that we have to do. Building things, preparing documentation, configuring, supporting, creating infrastructure with many people, no? Different people from different locations, different time zones, different mindsets, let's say. And at the end, there's something that it cannot be something that cannot be alone, and it's very difficult to handle things like this when you have big projects and involves a lot of people. No? Complexity is not only about software, it's about people, it's about communication, and it's trying to accomplish a common objective. No? And in that regard, Slack is a tool primarily designed to asynchronous communication, which means we must accept that every time that we send a message, we will not receive a reply immediately. This is the normal behavior that we have to accept. No? We expect on the other side, when we send a message from the other side, somebody at some point will hypothetically read our message, and could be that at some point will reply if it's needed, no? or actual message. So in that regard, if you think about this way of work, it's like there will be always problems with communications, because there are many things related to communications that make the things complicated, but as well, the software industry and how we build software, there have some complications in the middle. No? Changing the environments, how often we have to adapt to a new technology, a new stack. As I commented before, we have people from different cultures, which implies having different ways of work, different mindsets, different biases, different styles of thinking and working, and also many other things. You can find on the internet many reasons about why communicating and working with software in different teams is very complicated, and there are always reasons why something is going to not work, no? And assumptions and many other stuff. So problems are going to appear no matter how. So it's inevitable. You're going to find problems working with teams and building software. That's it, period. So you have to accept that this is going to happen. You're going to have problems with communications, right? And talking about problems, and probably you might have questions. You can use Slido to write it and have some questions later on. If not, then I can ask all of you in person to see. And talking about questions, for example, do you think, for example, team size affects in communications? It is the same to having a small team where you have not too many people than having a big organization where everybody's doing a different job, etc. Well, that was a question. Now the pointer decided not to go work. Now, this is a question. There was a question that a long time ago, Frederick Philipbooks already asked himself. I don't know how many of you know that book, which is The Mythical Monmouth. Can you raise your hand? Not too many people. 2, 3, 4, 5 people. Okay, well, this book is really interesting. It was written how many years ago? 15 years ago, I think. It was? Yeah, 15 years ago is still valid. So many of the things that this computer scientist, software architect, and also professor at the University of North Carolina explain it. And one of those are, for example, there is no silver bullet. Probably many of you are aware, no? There's not a single tool, a single thing that can work. But as well, he wrote things that he's called Brooks' Law, no? Brooks' law, not this Brooks, we are talking about Frederick. And one of the laws that Brooks already shared was related to team size. So communication overhead increases as the number of people increases. What does it mean? That means that basically having more people in the team explodes in terms of number of channels and ways of communicating with people with that has, let's say, different ways of communicating. No? Let me show you an example. If we have two people, the person said, let's say, imagine the same communication, or the same tool, let's say, there is only one way to communicate, no? One to each other, there is only one channel to use. If we have three people, we have more channels, the first person to the second with the third, and so on. No? And we have four, the thing started to be, let's say, more complicated, and if you go forward, etc., you will see that when you have a people of 5 or 6, etc., the party starts. No? It's a combinational number multiplied by the number, so it's an exponential, not exponential, but almost very difficult to handle the amount of different communications that you can have by the amount of people you have in your team. This is my team. It's the team Vulcan. I have Eric, Raquel, Alexei, and myself. I'm the team lead of and team captain, we say in our company. And I haven't introduced myself. I work at Dynatrace. We basically build software to monitor other software, kind of the voyeurs of the internet, if you want, or the internet of the software. I like to write code, and I'm passionate about the clean code, etc., and to extreme programming as well. I'm the founder of Barcelona Java Business Group and co-founder of another conference called the BCN that is happening in July. I became Java champion 3 years ago or something like this, and I was able to run marathons by the mountains, etc., some years ago. You can find me on Twitter, in Blue Sky, and other social networks. No? Probably, because of loyalties and all those things, this is the typical sound that it looks like the Slack one, no? If I made it only one time, you will probably, I don't know, could be happy, could be recognized. But if you do it one more time, like, and then if I repeat it then again every single time that I have a message, it will be completely impossible to you. It's gonna be a noise for you, no? So if you think about receiving these kind of messages every single minute or 2 minutes, it's probably not going to work for you. No? That's probably the reason why many of us, when we join a new workspace or a new team or the first thing that we do is that, hey, I don't want to receive any message. No message at all, no noise about it. No? And this is one of the things that you might ask yourself, which kind of good practices can we have by working with Slack? No? And the first thing I can recommend you is the noise management. This kind of thing that I show you right now is one of the tips that I normally try to recommend. Do not accept noise when you are working with Slack. Slack is a communication tool, so you have to set it up somehow that helps you instead of avoiding and making more noise. So instead of having noise, tweak the notifications as your needs. No? If you want to receive messages from somebody who can be something that is notifying you, then set up Slack properly, and then you will receive a message with that purpose. Otherwise, do not accept this noise, right? If somebody mentions you want to receive something, if there are new messages on some places you would like to receive something, these are valid questions that you have to realize. And the same thing applies to your mobile phone. No? You can set up things differently, because if you are, I don't know, traveling, or you end up having a device that is actually, can you as well would like to receive emails based on the notifications or the message that you forget? I don't recommend that, because at the end you have to then check the Slack as well. So at the end it's like two sources of truth, and I prefer to go directly to Slack always. Another interesting point that I totally recommend you is to set up a period where you can actually be alive or active, saying this is the amount of time that I'm going to work, for example. Out of this period, I don't want to receive any message because I'm out of work, and it's something that normally all people will understand that I'm not available and I cannot reply. The same thing applies to any other particular thing. No, for example, here I can mark one thing that is important for you. For example, if you're responsible of a team, of a group, of a component, doesn't matter, you can tweak your notifications for the things that actually matters to you. So for example, if you have a channel or a group of channels where everything that happens related to a particular component, you can receive messages related to that. For example, if questions like, if is your boss the one that is telling you something in a general channel, or is your colleague that is sending something that is not related to your project? No? Those kind of questions helps you to customize your messages somehow. And related to that, I think we should equally let's say, concern about any message, no matter who is the sender, I don't think this is valid. I mean, you should treat VIPs, no, very important people, as they deserve, no. So that we have VIPs, no, and you can set it up properly. And VIPs, in terms of having a proper, let's say, definition, they have a proper configuration, and you have probably to be able to receive some messages because they are very important people, no? And you want to receive those messages. The question that you have probably to ask yourself is, hey, is, for example, your direct manager the one that is sending you a message, or is, I don't know, your colleague that is sending the last meme and probably is not the same importance, no? Or things like, oh, is the head of something that is sharing with you some unexpected news, no? Probably those things matters, and this is, for example, in my case, the list of VIPs that I have, no? For example, I have the VP of engineering, the capability lead, we are organizing the capabilities, and my teammates. So why? Because if I am the team lead of a team, if some of my colleagues have any questions or any problems, I would like to receive a message immediately, just in case they have an issue or whatever is happening with them. The same thing with my manager. Barcelona, we have 2 lab leads, let's say, and we have, so if I have to receive a message from them, I would like to receive this notification as well. And the CIO, well, probably, I don't have conversation with the CIO, but who knows, I don't know. And the same thing that is very important is to set up these kind of notifications related to noise. You can pause notifications, for example, no, except those VIPs that you have. Related to the section, it's very interesting to know that you can check exactly and directly which are the messages that are belonging to your actual list of VIPs. It's actually very interesting to go and say directly the important messages, where are they? Okay, so you have a section specifically to go and see if you have something from very important people pending to read. It's very, very fast to go and exactly go to the very important people and see if there's anything pending from that side. And related to tips, I can tell you, we have to understand that you have always the way to organize your workspace and the way you work with Slack much better. There is no magic. We have to organize better ourselves, and the tool is already there. One of the things is that to use and create channels, but make it, let's say, as a default way of work. There are many ways to organize channels, by project, by team, let's say public or private or public, by them or by location. You can see some examples in here, because otherwise you have other options that are not so useful, in my humble opinion. For example, here, the other day I was looking for a conversation with Eric and somebody else. I don't remember the other person, but you can see how difficult it is to find which person is exactly. The other way, the same thing with Marek. Marek and somebody, who was the person who was conversing with Marek and myself and about that topic? I don't remember. And the same with Mark, and you can imagine that this is actually applied for everybody in the company that you have this kind of conversation. So instead of doing this, I totally recommend you to organize yourself in channels. In that regard, for example, we are owners of a particular component called Object Store. You can see here Object Store service in there, and Cloud Object Storage as well. This is also an owner, or team owns those components. We have the private channel with our manager as well, and we have a private channel with our architects, where we design things or we discuss solutions, etc. We have also, as a team, our private channel, where we discuss internal things that applies to the team. The team actually shares memes or whatever they want, or ask questions that are, let's say, useful for all of them. And we have also, by locations, as I said, no, I'm from Barcelona, so there's a channel for that purpose as well. Another interesting way of organizing your area and way of work with Slack is to use by feature. This is something very interesting where, for example, if you have to discuss a particular improvement, things that are working, and even an issue that it takes time for solving or whatever, you can organize this by in a particular channel where you have the name of the topic, the issue, or the ID, if you are using a place where all the issues are stored, for example, and you can have more fine-grained discussions about this topic. And then in there, you can put everybody that is interested in there. And if the people are not related or is not available for them, or they cannot do anything, they can always leave. And this is actually super fast to know. What was the topic? The topic was this one. You can find the ID and also can have more information as well in Jira or whatever issue trackers that you're using. On the contrary, you will have more, let's say, channels. You have probably more noise based on the different types of features that you can have. But in this way, it's super easy to understand the topic that you are discussing. On the other way around, or on top of that, you as I'm backend developer and a team lead, I have more, let's say, extra roles, and based on those roles, I have more channels to follow. Backend chapter, as you can see, as a backend developer, I have to join, let's say, the Drive. I like to play or to work with TDD. I'm passionate about Java, so I have to join, let's say, other channels and to be aware of some other news. And as well, I have other channels where I have to join because I am a team lead, and my manager has many other team leads, so it manages a group of teams, and then therefore we have a channel where everything is discussed. And as well, I'm a team lead in Barcelona, so therefore I have another channel where this is a focus about this. Not only this, there are more channels, because if you are involved in many other, let's say, projects or initiatives, you might have another projects as well talking about, hey, this is something related. For example, in Java, we have normally we have some components that depends on others, no libraries or skeletons that are the ground of the. In this case, we call it service template. The template that we have is actually used for creating the rest of the services that we use in the platform. And this is the way we have to be aware that there are a few news or things that are going to be improved. The best way is to go to the channel, subscribe there to the news, and you will receive some messages. And the next things are, I don't know, new projects, new initiatives that the community or the company is driving, no? And even more channels, there are, for example, depending on how good or bad I am on social activities. No, I like music, so therefore I join Spotify, which is a channel where everybody shares their preferred music. I like Barcelona, I love Barcelona, and I like memes, so I join this Marshalo Barcelona channel, and as well many others, like I play sports, I like to run, many other channels that you can. So you might realize, for example, this is actually something that I recorded not too long ago, the list of channels that I have. Not bad, huh? Well, you probably end up like this, no? I don't want to continue here, no? This is super noisy, I cannot manage and handle anything. Wait. There are many ways and many things that we have to address in here, right? So the first thing is that Slack can help you to minimize the amount of noise and organize this noise somehow. The first one is to have sections. You can group the channels by, let's say, the name that you want, no? In that case, for example, I organize myself by, okay, this is related to my team. My team is called Vulkan. And I have things related to social things like the music, the running, whatever. Something related to code quality, let's call it Java, TDD, Kubernetes, whatever. And this helps me to understand and to pay attention exactly in what I want. If I have something to read, pending on the Vulkan section or on the code quality section, are completely different, no, in terms of priority. What is more important, to help your team or to see the last article that somebody shares somewhere, no? Those are the kind of things that you can do when you organize these things by sections. You can understand much better in which to pay attention and how important is one thing or another. And it's really helpful, in my opinion. Another thing that is really powerful in terms of seeing whatever you have to pay attention is organize the channels by either by name, by priority, or there's something pending to read. No, I normally recommend the priority because Slack knows how often you go to a channel, and those are the ones that you can see much, let's say, on the top of the list, which means those are the actual more important channels for you, which is normal the case, no? And now when you join a channel, Slack helps you as well. Now, if you join a channel, you can say, hey, this channel already, to what section belongs? It belongs to something that is social, it's something that belongs to your team, or is something that, and also you can set up already here how noisy or not noisy are the messages that you will receive in there, no? As a company, we provide a tool for optimizing things, to monitor stuff, and the first thing that you can do, talking organizing, is to do the same thing in Slack. So organize your space in Slack. In that case, this is my group, my team, and this is the list of bookmarks that we have related to our team, related to libraries that are open source, related to the platform that we use, the things that we have to automate, the capability itself, something related to HR, or even related to other projects that we have to have a look. So those links that everybody forgets, where are they, etc., etc. What we can do basically is to group all of them and put it in Slack. When a new person arrives, everything is in there, and everybody is using it. So it's super easy to go there and say, hey, this is everything that you need to know, and you can start with the first link that you can find. And for the public channels as well, it's super easy to describe, hey, this is the channel that we have to discuss about X, Y, Z, or is something related to something else. No? So describing something and put it on the public description is super easy. And of course, I recommend you to use bookmarks to describe, this is the public documentation, this is the starting point, and this is where you can do A, B, C from this section or project or whatever you are doing. Probably you may end up with this phase, no? But this does not give me any certainty about how I could not miss anything, no? How still the communication is not so clear to me, so I have many things that are not certain, no? So I have more uncertainty. And this is true, because you have to understand that, has been commented. We have to clean, or Slack as well. We have to clean channels, and it's not a problem by cleaning up. And there are a few ways, at least. You can, first of all, leave a channel. There is nothing wrong by leaving a channel. Nobody is going to be fired by being in a channel. And if somebody needs you, probably they're going to mention you again. You're going to be invited again. So there's no problem by saying, hey, goodbye. I don't want to say anything or to continue here. And then you're going to be continue later if somebody thinks that you have to be there. There are many ways to do that, but one of the best features or things that I think are interesting is that you can leave inactive channels. So probably you think, okay, could be that is interesting for me or not, but if the channel is already, nobody is posting anything, you can leave the inactive channels and nothing is going to happen. So this is super easy, super funny, and leave the noise. If you already created some channels, that you are owner of some channels, you can actually archive them. If there is no more discussions, more things to do, archive them, less problem for many people. And the last one I like the most is this one, the cleanup channels. There is an option in the general, let's say, Slack, where you can basically do at one click, remove a lot of channels that you have been, not visiting or viewing a lot. So it's like, hey, I want to leave the channels. In my case, for example, you can see here 235 channels. This is I think I take the screenshot 2 or 3 days ago. And I have 73 channels I haven't visited for 6 months. So in one click, I can basically remove a lot of noise that you can imagine in my Slack. And it's actually something that I normally do, because from time to time I say, oh, I have too many. I don't need that amount of information, because it does not help me a lot. No? And what this approach is super easy to clean your space as well. Yes, you can clean your Slack. You might guess, okay, but how I can be sure that my colleagues are following what I'm saying? No, this is another thing. This is basically let others know. Let's put a message, and the others can understand that. And the best way, probably all of you are aware, is to mention your colleagues in many different ways. No, I normally use this analogy to go to a square, no, with a megaphone, and say, "Hey, all of you, would you like to have a coffee?" No, or versus, Hey, Marco, would you like to have a coffee with me? No, this is the difference between a channel and notify somebody, exactly that person, right? So normally you have to think only 1 second for understanding this message is important for all the people that belongs to this channel, or is only solely important to that person. Even there are around 20 or 30 people in there. It's not that difficult to think a little bit about it, and then also to apply it, not only for us, but also to our colleagues or stakeholders, not to train them, to help them to understand, hey, this is something that we have to understand, that this is the best way, or one of the best ways to communicate each other. So probably you could now understand where's the problem, no? There's something wrong in here. Can you detect which one is the incorrect one? For example, the first one, the two are saying the same. Right? It's the same message, no matter the result is, hey, Jordi, have you finished whatever we agree? No, but with the first one, how Jordi will know? We'll get a notification about anything. Jordi is not going to receive any notification, so please use always the mention to the person as Slack is proposing, not the alias or how you name your colleague, because otherwise this person can miss that message. It's super comfortable to say this, but it's not correct in terms of using the tool, because then the tool is not helping Jordi to remind these things, and it's not going to notify Jordi saying, hey, this is something that you forgot and you have to pay attention. No? And it doesn't matter if the conversation happens in a private or a public channel, because you can decide later on what you want to do with that person. Let me show you an example. In here I was discussing with my colleagues in the internal team, hey, we have to talk to Santiago about one particular topic, and you think, and I send a message, and then Slack says, hey, you're mentioning Santiago, but Santiago is not in the channel. What I have to do? nothing. I don't want to invite Santiago to our channel because it's a private team channel and nobody should enter because it's a private or safe space. No? But Slack knows that, and then basically it's the best way to understand which Santi we were talking about. No? And there's nothing happens. So this is exactly the same thing you can do in the public on the private channels. If somebody needs to reply something, mention it, and then you can decide, should I invite that person in here and then can reply for that question or not? Super easy to handle, I would say. Another way to notify people is to use what is called user groups, kind of a label where you can include all the people you think make sense. For example, we are a bootcamp team, and we are 4. So one of the best ways to use this user group to have all the people in there, and if I have, I don't know, more people in there because no new people are coming, just include them and use this as an alias to mention all of my colleagues. And emojis, I like emojis, that people don't like emojis, but I think there's a way of showing and caring with others a reaction that is with more, let's say, emotion. Somebody find a bug in your library or fix something. Oh, thank you very much for fixing that. Oh, I forgot that. Sorry, no. Those kind of smiles, if you use with care, with respect, they help you a lot to give some emotions to others and to thank others when it's important. No. And talking about public, let's say, sensations, etc. Let's talk about status. Public is status. Why is important the status? Because with it, you can actually explain to others that if you are available or not available, and it's actually telling others how you can actually be working or not working, or activity, or with some activity or not. No, we like to receive something if you are actually on holidays, for example, or not. No, there's a clear, perfect example where I don't want to receive messages, and depending on your needs, you can tune it a little bit. No. In that regard, there's an extra bullet if you connect, let's say, your calendar with your status, then automatically, the magic happens. When the calendar, your tool, actually automates that and updates your status. If you're actually in a meeting, somebody can say, hey, can you help me, Nacho, with this issue that I found somewhere? Well, probably the answer is already in there if the people actually pays attention to the status. Probably the people can actually be so urgent or things, but if you are already in a meeting, you are actually explaining, hey, I'm focused on something else, please respect this, and when I finish this meeting, probably I can help you somehow, but meanwhile, I can decide if I have to reply this person immediately. But the magic of this is that the status actually is actually updated, which is for others, is telling you automatically things, no? I'm focused on this, I have to do many other things, or actually going in a call or whatever, it depends on the situation. And talking about teammates and notifying others, etc., I recommend you to build what I said is your RSS feed. How many of you know the concept of RSS? Yeah, many of you? Okay. I will explain you in a second. But first of all, I would like to invite you to avoid the telephone game. No, this idea of they call it whisper down the lane or broken telephone. That's a typical game that you have many people know the message that has to go from one person to the other that is in the line on the last line, and you have many people in the middle. No, as much people that we have in the middle, more noise that it can be translated to one person to another. So my recommendation is to avoid this game. To feed your team, no? Try to share everything in channels by default and invite all the people, the maximum people that you might have. Skip any direct message if it's possible, and instead try to make everything in channels. Try to avoid creating groups, as I said, as I shared before, with Marek, doesn't matter, and also feed your colleagues. What I can tell you is basically proactively encourage your colleagues to participate in things, to let the things forward, and to move the things from this side. No? Most of the conversations that you might have, you can share it. Do the same thing with your stakeholders. No? Let me show you here how for example, this is the other day, I took a screenshot, how our Slack channel in our internal team was. It was like this. So 2 screenshots, as you can see here, there are 2 links. This is basically the RSS that I was mentioning before. The idea of this is that I can see exactly what is happening in another channel, discussing another thing that, like, say, share with me. It's no more than linking the conversation that happens in another place and share it in my internal channel, in this case. And this is super useful because it helps, it works like RSS subscription. So basically, RSS is a mechanism where you can actually syndicate to sources, and then when these sources are changed, the tool basically gives you the update without going no, instead of push, pull, basically. And there's no need to do anything out of this let's say, subscription. So basically, instead of going in one direction, it's the other way around. So Slack will tell you, hey, there's a new thing happening on that regards, and then it's going to notify you back. So it's kind of a you can understand that a kind of a thread-based communication, no? a new way of communicating that you can subscribe. So for example, here, let me show you how it works. Alexei shared here, and what I can do is to, hey, I want to receive notifications about this, just clicking here, and from now on, all the messages I will have on this conversation, I will receive a notification as well. It's more like I would like to subscribe to this kind of messages that happen in this thread, and then I will go back these kind of things. And as well, there's another feature that is pretty basic, but as well is super powerful. I can receive the information from others, but as well I could have a conversation in our internal channel about these things. Do you understand the same as I understood? Or do you think how this works, no? So it's basically, there are many ways to do that, but you can copy the link of the original message and forward it to your channel and basically do that. And you can do also as well the other way around. I don't want to, let's say, receive more information from that thread because it's not easy enough for me. I don't want to know more things. And basically, you can go to the same conversation again and then turn it off. Basically, you will not receive any more noise related to the topic that you don't want anymore. No? And of course, many of you are aware of using threads. This is a typical thing. In my humble opinion, there's a way that we can, let's say, label it like a thread-based communication, a la thread-driven development or something like this. And it's basically focused only on the section that you can see on the top, which is focused only on the threads that are pending to read. No? And it's super easy, super comfortable to go there and check actually the threads. There can be threads that are memes, like this case, no, super funny, this thing, I was reacting something. And then here, can you see, you are update. So there is nothing more I have to pending because Slack already knows where you were based before. So I have been in there, I don't know, 1 minute before or something. And I don't need to continue with the discussion. I don't need to focus on something as the thread is already written, so nothing more that I have to do pending from my side. No? Super, super easy. And I have an extra tip for you. If you have an owner or your team's owner of something, there is a way to receive all the notifications that are happening in this channel. Probably something important you might realize if you have been responsible of a team or something. So you can receive all notifications no matter the thread or the conversation, you are part of it or not. It's super useful because at the end, if you are responsible of something and you have a public channel or a private channel where all the stakeholders are in there, you will receive all the messages, no matter who is writing, no matter if you are in the discussion or not. And super useful for terms of public communication, I would say. And as I said before, it enables also an extra bullet to talk about things that you don't know in another private space. In our case, in a bootcamp or private team, private channel. Sorry. And as I said, this thread-driven development, thread-based communication, can be understood like things I pending to do something, things I have to reply, things I have to take a look, and things to read. I have to say that it is exactly the same thing. You can implement read-based communication as a new way to follow. There are things that I have to do, things I have to pending to read, pending to have a look. And it's exactly the same way that I commented with thread. No? There is something pending to read. You can do the other way around, which is I don't want to pay attention now to these kind of things. I can mark this section or this message as unread. I will come back later to these kind of things because I would like to focus on something else right now. No? And this way of work, let's call it on read-based communication, thread-based communication, I can summarize it as things that I have to do, no? Things I have to pay attention at some point. And in that regard, Slack can help us. So in fact, I can recommend you to use Slack for help, to receive help. No? And one thing is, for example, reminding things. So Slack, if you want to, I don't know, right now I don't want to pay attention to something, you can mark as unread, as I said before, but as well you can do things like, hey, remind me this later on, tomorrow, whenever you want, because I don't want to pay attention now. So for example, here we had an issue somewhere in some environment, and I said, oh, I don't want to now pay attention to this. Tomorrow morning, please send me a message about this, and I will receive that information. I have to say that it's useful, but as well, it has to be improved somehow. It's in the section that is called later, and in this section you will see messages that are either, let's say, in progress, archived, or completed. And it's not so easy to find let's say, messages that are belonging to a particular area that you want, or you can filter it somehow and actually tag it by, I don't know, channel or project, etc. You will see now how it works. So for example, you remember I tagged something to an error to say later, and you can see here I have things for months ago, and here you can see the error that I already marked for tomorrow. No? And the same thing for things that are completed or archived. It's not so useful, and you cannot find it easily, no, by channel or where it was located. So I have to say that it's interesting, but as well, you have to pay attention to it. This has to be improved somehow. Still, probably you have the threat of missing some communications in big teams or big projects, right? There's another section that is super useful, which is the activity one. And the activity one is super powerful because as well you can see things that are already pending to read or things that are already covered. And in here you can see everything, reactions, messages, links, etc. Let me show you in a second. It's super powerful because in one section you can see absolutely everything. People reacting to emojis or whatever, or something in my case, something I have to read. Oh, two tickets, 2 Jira things that I forgot to solve. Oh. This is super useful because as well, I know that I have to do pending things to work and more things, no? Talking about things that you would like to do later, things like scheduling things is super important as well. And if you remind things no matter when, it's super useful to schedule it when you have to apply to that, you know that is going to happen at a particular time in day, no? For example, in this case, I share with my colleagues, hey, I'm going to go to GCon to share a session, and I said, okay, when I'm gonna set that as a reminder, the very day on the morning when I'm coming into the conference. So nothing I have to worry about. Slack is gonna take over about this, and you can see the section in the schedule message where you can see, hey, this is something that pending that have to be sent. No problem if you find something later on that you have to send at some point in time. And things that you have to, let's say, remind or forget about your, let's say, in your mind, you can remove it. So another problem, another thing that you have to focus on. And one of the last things I would like to commend is that you have to improve the usage. No, as a developers, we use tools and we improve the usage of the tools, no, by learning stuff to understand how the tools are working and how we can improve our usage to be more productive. So you probably have noticed in other courses that I've shared that I use the mouse too often, no? And one of the things that I can recommend is to leave the mouse alone. Leave the mouse. There is no need for using the mouse. So use the keyboard shortcuts. Slack is another tool where you can learn a few shortcuts and then be super productive. You need to go one by one scrolling to, no. Many of the shortcuts are already in the documentation, but Slack is one of the most important tools. You use it. We use it for communication, so it should be. We should be super productive in that tool. No, the two things I recommend is the keyboard shortcuts: Command K in Mac, and Command G, Control K and Control G, I think, for Windows. Let me show you an example. With Command K, you can jump to any place, jump to any conversation. Let me show you. You can go to the conversation that you might have with Mark, with other persons, go to a channel. You don't need to fulfill exactly a name because Slack is going to show you, you're going to go to sections as well. You can go to a particular person, or you can go actually by typing the letters, and then Slack will find exactly what you're looking for. Super useful because it doesn't matter actually to find the content that you want, and it's super easy to do. And the same thing with search. You don't remember exactly what you want to do, Command J, and start looking for whatever you are looking. I'm looking for, I don't know, some conversation that happened with me and somebody else, no? That is pretty common. Did I say something? Yes, I remember that was me that was sharing something in Barcelona, I think it was, and it was related to something in here, no? And actually, it's super powerful because you can find things like this, no? Somebody who was in the conversation, you can filter it, and many other stuff, extra filters that you can talk about. And talking about searching, the search is super powerful in Slack, and it works very, very well. You can filter by many concepts, by person, people involved, by channel, by date, by reaction, and you can actually exclude results as well. So it's super powerful, and I could totally recommend you to use it. And talking about things that you do manually, like searching, I recommend you to do in the other way around. To make your life easier, try to automate all the things that you can do. In that regard, I can see automations everywhere. There are many things you can do with Slack, and I show you in a second few things that you can do. It's actually depending on the integration that you can connect with Slack. There are many applications. I think there are more than 2,600 applications you can connect with Slack. So primarily you can do whatever with Slack. If you're using Jira or you are Asana, a calendar, that does not matter. Majority of the main applications are connected with Slack, so you can control them or receive messages from those systems or services, and there are many things you can do. The three main things I would like to comment is that you can use apps from Slack, you can send messages to Slack, or the last one is create workflows. No? The last thing that you can interact and build more stuff. The easiest one is probably to use apps and bots. In that case, examples are very common. If you use Confluence, Jira, calendars, or whatever, it's something that you can realize how often, for example, you would like to know if somebody mentioned you or yourself or your team working with some particular document. You would like to receive something about a Jira ticket that somebody updated, or you want to create a ticket for somebody else, and then you can start imagining many other things. We like to deploy things via Slack. It's always possible to do that. You would like to deactivate or activate flags from Slack, and the same thing applies to any other questions like approve, deny request, etc. So in here, for example, I was looking for some issues or discussions that we had with different issues in Jira, and I received some notifications at some point in time. The same thing applies to changes in code. No, we use Bitbucket, we use GitHub as well, but in that regard, I received some pull requests from different dependencies that have been updated, or somebody created a pull request focused on a particular issue. So this is a thing that I don't need to go to somebody else to know that I have to do more work, because already Jira is already connected with, or Bitbucket is connected with Slack, and then I have few things to have a look on the Bitbucket and also on the integration in here. Another way to, let's say, receive information and have Slack as a single source of truth is connecting other things with Slack. For example, imagine that you have a system that you're monitoring, or businesses do these kind of things. You can subscribe to particular channels that are the channels where you receive, for example, errors or alerts that are happening in a different, let's say, location or a particular environment, etc. With that approach, you be careful, because you can receive a lot of issues, a lot of warnings, a lot of messages, and then can be super noisy for you. But it's actually something that you can regulate or somehow customize. It's super interesting, because then you can subscribe when something is going wrong in the areas that you might realize this is really, really important for you. I don't know, a new version is available to something, you can actually receive a message as well. Or a new issue is assigned to you or your team. You would like to receive a message as well. So those are the things that you can do connecting. And the last section I would like to comment are the workflows. Here you can see an example where our colleagues from support, they are building workflows for receiving help and see which area you would like to address. We're talking about, I don't know, monitoring stuff on the mobile stuff, or is more on the infrastructure side. There are many questions around it, so you can build a workflow and to build something that is particular to understanding which area we have to go, in which area is your question related. There are many ways to create workflows, but in Slack you only need to do 2 clicks and then create a workflow. It's completely up to you to decide which kind of automation you would like to have. Create a Jira ticket, fill everything with the corresponding details, create a spreadsheet, send a Slack message to a group, create an appointment in a calendar, and including a reminder to somebody else, because in 2 weeks they have to give a feedback or something. Or there's many different things, and I've found many other things that you can realize and you can do with Slack without less than 0 effort. For example, you can have your own safe place where you can save all the information that you normally used in your own, let's say, profile or user. You can save things as a draft, as a message where, hey, I have to remind a few things. I can save documents. I can put the screenshots. You can do, I don't know, transform the message in many ways. You can send data messages or customize your workspace in different ways and create reminders to somebody else, and many other things that you can do with a myriad of applications by integrating with Slack. So I share in this session one of the tips and recommendations I normally try to encourage my colleagues to do. And it's true that it's inevitable that we will have problems by communicating with others. And Slack by default is a synchronous communication. That's why I totally recommend you to follow some of the tips I share here. And also I'll recommend you to invest time and efforts in communicating, let's say, as openly as possible, to create those groups, as I was commenting, to create channels, and to make the people aware that this way of sharing the things in common places is much better than going and do it independently in different, say, direct messages or groups where not all the people is aware. That was my presentation. I don't know if there's any questions. Thank you, by the way.